guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on the Blackwell Pages trilogy by M.A. Marr and K.L. Armstrong. So, before I do head into my thoughts and feelings about the Blackwell Pages trilogy by M.A. Marr and K.L. Armstrong, quick disclaimer, I don't plan on having any sort of spoilers in this particular video as I'm talking about the trilogy, so yeah, continue to watch. This whole video is just going to be a basic overview of the trilogy, if it's worth your while to read it, the things I liked, the things I might have disliked. So yeah, let's get started. So what you need to know about the Blackwell Pages trilogy: this is a set of 3 books, obviously, and they are middle grade fiction, and think of them like something like Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series. Percy Jackson, that series was about a young boy who his father was the Greek god Poseidon, and he goes on adventures and he's fighting various different creatures and monsters from Greek mythology. So yeah, this trilogy, the Blackwell Pages, it's very reminiscent to something like Percy Jackson. This trilogy follows a young boy, I believe he's 13 years old, his name is Matt Thorson, and his whole family are descendants of the Norse god Thor. And they live in this little town called Blackwell in South Dakota. And one day, Matt finds out that the end of the world is approaching, or as they call it in Norse mythology, Ragnarok. So Matt, it's his mission to stop Ragnarok, essentially. He is given this quest and mission to try and save the world, and that's a lot for a little 13-year-old boy, you guys. And Matt, a lot of his journey in this trilogy is his journey of trying to, figure out who he is, who he wants to become, figure out his style of leadership, because he's almost reluctant to be a leader, but he knows he has to take that mantle or the world ends or people die or whatever. So not only do you follow the character of Matt, but you also follow the characters of Lori and Finn Breck. Lori and Finn, they are descendants of the Norse god Loki, who is the god of mischief, essentially. So that's where their characters are. Finn, he struggles with, kind of finding that balance of being on the side of good or evil and whatnot, and yeah, he's trying to escape his destiny, because yeah, it's part of the destiny of Loki's descendants that they will lead the army of the monsters, essentially. And Finn obviously doesn't want to do that. He does not want to, he doesn't want to side against Matt. He wants to be on the side of good. So his big thing in the series is looking out for his cousin, who is Lori, and like I said, Lori is also a descendant of the god Loki. And yeah, Lori, a lot of her journey in this trilogy is her developing confidence in herself and in her abilities, and proving herself and also to her cousin Finn, because Finn definitely has a bit of a hero complex, a savior complex, because he's constantly looking out for Lori. He's very overprotective with Lori. So yeah, it's a big part of Lori and Finn's story, that even though they're family, it's a thing of, learn to rely on each other, but also, trust in each other's strengths and weaknesses and whatnot. So yeah, that's essentially what this whole trilogy is about. And You have Matt, Finn, and Lori. They eventually team up to try and figure out how they can stop the end of the world from coming. And a big thing that they have to do is find other descendants of the North, if you will. So what does that mean, descendants of the North? That's essentially other people who are descendants of various other gods and goddesses of Norse mythology. You have a character who is a descendant of somebody like Balder, who is one of the most popular, most likable gods. You have a set of twins who are descendants of Frey and Freya. You have a character who is a descendant of Odin. There's a lot of characters. And yeah, Matt, Finn, and Lori, they have to find all these various different characters. They all have to team up with one another. And yeah, that's essentially what this whole trilogy is. It's, like I said, it's middle grade fiction. Sort of a contemporary retelling of Norse mythology, but told through the point of view, in this modern setting, following these young teenagers and, yeah, their journey trying to stop the end of the world. So like I mentioned, it's very reminiscent to something like Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series. I do have to say that even though I do like the Blackwell Pages trilogy, it's a very good series. It's fine for what it is. I definitely do think Rick Riordan is probably the far more superior writer, and I think his stories and his characters are far more superior, and yeah, just more fun and interesting. But yeah, not to say, like I said, not to say that these books are terrible by any means, because I thoroughly enjoyed this trilogy. The Blackwell Pages trilogy, it's just really fun and whimsical, and yeah, more than anything, it's teaching you about Norse mythology, its point is to teach, especially, little kids and whatnot. And it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be adventurous. I liked the characters, I found them all really lovable. Yeah, I don't know, I guess what sets this trilogy apart from Rick Riordan, I guess the things that don't totally work, I think there is a certain lack of character growth and character building, I suppose, which I think Rick Riordan excels at better. And yeah, I feel like there's not enough story to tell. You know what I mean? It just feels like the characters are constantly just kind of moving from location to location, creature to creature, and there's just not anything else really going on, unfortunately, to really tie into the bigger narrative going on. And yeah, your primary villains, there's not too many villains in this trilogy, but yeah, the ones that you have, they just don't really stand out, and they don't really support the narrative, because yeah, there's a particularly emotional moment in the final book with one of the larger villains, if you even want to call him a villain, I don't know, but there's a moment, and it's like I didn't feel anything, I didn't feel a connection, and there wasn't enough of a build-up, in my opinion. I think that's a big thing with this whole trilogy. There's not enough of a build-up to the final book in some ways. There's a lot of things that don't really pay off. There's not enough emotional weight to events near the end of the trilogy. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to recommend this trilogy. I mean, I definitely recommend it if you do like something like Percy Jackson, because like I said, this trilogy, it's fun and magical and adventurous, and yeah, if you have little kids and you're trying to get them to learn about mythology, and you're trying to get them to learn to read, or get them interested in reading more, yeah, this trilogy is a great way to do it. There's nothing about this trilogy that's offensive or anything, it's just, it is cleverly written in places, and yeah, the characters are likable. So I definitely recommend it if you do like Percy Jackson, if you like mythology. But yeah, to just someone casually wanting to pick up this trilogy, I wouldn't really recommend it unless you are purposely seeking out something like this, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this trilogy. It's fun, engaging. It's actually very hilarious, you guys. There's many a moments that I laughed out loud. There's a lot of genuinely laugh out loud moments. But I'm really glad I read this trilogy. I do love all things Norse mythology. It was just fun, to see it in this contemporary setting with teenagers who have no idea what's going on, how to handle things. They gotta figure out things on their own. Yeah, the adults are absolutely no help. It's always like that in a middle grade children's book. Adults are always useless. So yeah, overall, I loved this trilogy. It was worth it for me personally. I got a little bit of something out of it. You may or may not enjoy it as much as I did. So you guys, that is it for my review of the Blackwell Pages trilogy. In the comments below, have you guys read this trilogy? Do you plan on reading it? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you can like these other videos. Bye guys.